It's safe to say we are worn out. It's dusk here now. It took us all day pretty much. We have got a really heavy project for you today. Let's check it out.
Gotta get the last two. You can do it. We can do it.
I think the first thing is to get these boulders in the anchor positions. You know, get those to anchor the space where we want them, and then the next thing we can do is start grabbing the medium-sized rocks like this.
It's a big one. It's gonna leave a dent. There it is.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Our House channel. Today, what we're working on is a dry creek bed and what I would call some ornamental bouldering. Yeah, we've got 1 cubic yard of Tennessee River rock, which is graded between 2 and 5 inches, but it's actually anywhere from 2 inches all the way up to about 10 to 12 inches. So they're good sized rocks for the most part. And then we have some boulders in here that are probably like large watermelon, medicine ball size boulders. We got 5 of those. All of this needs to go on this hill where we have this plastic laid out. What we've got coming from the neighbor's yard when it rains heavily is quite a bit of water that goes right down that slide in that particular area, and it's washing away the pine needles, it's washing away the soil. So we got to do a little bit of soil retention here and maintain that hill. So all of these medium-sized rocks and the river rock, they're all going to go down that plastic so that it can prevent some erosion. Now, on top of that, we've also got this huge boulder, which is probably about 4 feet across at its widest point. It's about 2 feet tall, and it's about 2 to 2.5 feet front to back. This thing probably weighs in excess of 500 pounds is my guess. It is made out of a really dense, really heavy rock, but we liked it because it had all these ribbons of different rock that sort of became a conglomerate and made one large structure. You can see this small maple tree back here, this young maple tree behind me. This rock has got to get moved back that way about 6 or 7 feet in proximity to that tree, but not too close. And then we're going to dig out the existing flower bed around the tree to encompass this stone and leave us some room to plant some flowers to go along with it. Now, some of the things we have to consider when we're putting this large stone in place and we're planting out this flower bed is the water meter and the sewer clean out that's out here in the yard. Don't have the rock too close to it in case, you know, some sort of maintenance or something like that has to be done and performed in the future. So this will be a later project, and I'm going to show you, well, later on today, and I'm going to show you how by myself I'm going to lever and shift and move this large boulder up this little hill into place. So you can see we have the plastic, and we've already got 1 anchor stone put up at the top. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take these boulders and we're going to put them in anchor positions where we feel they need to be aesthetically and also practically, and then we're going to put in the rest of the field stones to sort of fill this in. Now it's going to come down here, it's going to go that way, and it's going to start to get diverted down here, and I'll cut out this sod down here, and it's going to end up in that drain which runs through a pipe underneath the pond and out the other side of the pond. So the first thing to do is start getting these boulders into the wheelbarrow and trucking them back here and placing those in the correct position. So here's the existing drain that goes under this concrete slab and travels over underneath the pond and exits the other side. So everything coming down this hill, when it rains, needs to be directed. Before, it was just running from the top of the hill straight down, and it ends up leaving just a muddy mess, and all the pine needles slide down the hill, and it's really pretty steep right there. So what we're doing is going back from the drain, we're removing the sod so that these rocks can come down the hill through the little bit of grass that was here and then lead all the way to this drain. And we're concaving it a little bit, sort of building that side up, and that side's naturally built up so that when the water comes down and it gets speed, it'll have this curve, sort of like a NASCAR track, and then get directed down here. We've got a couple of anchor boulders built in. We've got one more that we need to place probably over here just for aesthetics, and then we can start rocking in the field rock. So this is kind of the start of the field rocks going in. As you can see, we're trying to mix some of the larger with the medium and with the smalls. You'll also notice that you can see little areas of plastic where even smaller rocks need to go. We will get some bag rock like we used over here that's smaller, and take a couple of bags and cut them open and just kind of let those cascade and fall down throughout to fill in some of those gaps. And now that we're starting on the vertical rise of the hill, we're going to have to take just a little bit more care in how we place the rocks and what kind of rocks we place, so that they can build on each other and they can bear the weight from the top of the hill all the way down to about this low point right here. We came inside to take a little break. The humidity is 83, but the humidity makes it feel like it's 97. The humidity outside is crazy, as evidenced by my shirt. Now here's something I don't quite understand. People today will go out and they will buy a gym membership, and they will go into a gymnasium, and they will get on all kinds of different equipment and torture themselves to come walking out of there like this in order to stay healthy and fit or whatever. But then they'll pay somebody to come out and do this work in their yard for them. Cut out the middleman. Stop paying for a gym membership. Stop wasting money on someone else to perform the labor, and you do the heavy lifting. It's a win-win. You get your workout for free, you get your labor for free, all you got to pay for is the materials. Stop being crazy. Do the damn work yourself. All right, since the back is pretty much done, it's time to move on to this big rock out front. I've got some plastic, some scissors. I don't have a large crowbar as of yet to start moving this rock, but I wanted to show you how I'm preparing. I took the mower and I put the mower down on the lowest setting that it would go, and I cut my shape. Okay, now I'm not going to cut the plastic just yet until I get this big giant rock in place, because odds are this rock and fighting it over here is going to move this plastic around. All right, I've got some metal barbell poles. Shush. And I've got two pressure treated 4x4s that we have in the back that I'm going to be doing another project with, but I'm going to set those two 4x4s up kind of like railroad tracks, you know, just have them going right toward my target. Then these are going to support the bulk of the rock and roll along those two 4x4s. I'll show you. Now the hard part, of course, is trying to get this big ass rock up on top of these 4x4s that I have set up. So to accomplish that, I'm going to set a block here, a 4x4 block, and then use my crowbar, and I'm going to kind of row it into place, almost like rowing an oar. You start out with the crowbar up near the front, you push down to get leverage, and then you pull back, and that swims this front side of the rock here toward the front where you need it. This was the hard part, was getting it onto these 4x4 rails. If we can make it to the end of these rails, we're gold. But there's a concavity underneath this rock, and so my little metal rollers don't quite touch. So I think I'm just going to get behind it with this block and just starting to leverage it so that it's got less friction and less surface area touching on these 4x4s.
Looks totally different now.
All right, it's safe to say we are worn out. It's dusk here now. It took us all day pretty much to get all this stuff in place, but it's complete. So I'm going to take you around here and show you the dry creek bed, and I just showed you the end result out front. We had some leftover river rocks, and instead of just putting out some more black mulch around that boulder, we just said, hey, we'll use it up out there. The rock was a huge pain to move, and at the end of it, we got it moved. We had to use some 4x4s, some leverage. I mean, it was a struggle. And if you had had an established large tree and a come along strap, we could have made short work of it. But we got it done. We got it done, and it cost us $0 to do the labor on that. This is the dry creek bed that we made in the beginning of the day. If you remember, we started placing the large boulders first at the anchor points, and then we started to place the field stone. And if you look out here, we've got our statue, the Japanese maple that we salvaged from a job site. They were going to throw this thing in the dumpster. I don't know much about it. I do know that it's a Crimson Queen, I believe, or something like that. And it's easily 7 feet tall from the root ball up to the top. And it looks like it's about 10 feet across at the widest. So it's a pretty mature Japanese maple, I would say. It's not just a couple of years old. My guess is it's probably somewhere around 10 to 15 years old. But a tree like this is worth a ton of money, and they were renovating a pool on one of the job sites that I was on, and they were just going to chuck it in the dumpster. I'm like, absolutely not. So we drove it 45 minutes. We didn't know if it was going to survive, but it did. It came out, and we transplanted it, and it looks terrific. And now we've got our stone steps that we collected these rocks just organically, just finding them out in the wild, and built our steps out of that. And then the ponds over there also. So the backyard is really coming together. I appreciate you guys watching. Be sure to click subscribe. Give us a like down below. Click the thumbs up. Hit the bell so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. We're going to be doing home improvement, little DIY projects, just around the house stuff, and more cooking coming up. Also, if you haven't already, go check out Golf Test Dummy. That is my golf channel. I do a lot of reviews over there. I do course vlogs. I just do all kinds of conversations about golf from a slightly better than average golf standpoint. So until next time, we'll see you.